Hi, welcome to Awake TV. Today Sue and I are going to talk about divine intervention and trust. So I had a really interesting experience recently. Guys, I'm apartment hunting, and then I put deposit in the apartment, and then suddenly I got declined. Means like not financially. I'm saying the person said, "Oh no, you can go in." So that was really weird. And then before that, I was like looking at the tarot card reading, and then not personally, but general thing. And then the one I looked at, picked the card, it says, "You're never gonna get the apartment until the one is comes along. Somehow your guide is gonna prevent you to get one." So I'm thinking, wow, that's a divine intervention. So a lot of divine intervention stuff has been happening to a lot of people in big or small manner. So that's the thing I want to talk about. So Sue, what is your point of view on this?
Yeah, divine intervention. We have, I believe, told the universe whenever we're searching for something or we're planning something, we set our intention by our thoughts, and maybe we even clearly, consciously set our intention for what we're aiming for. And that sends out the blueprint for the universe to send it back to us, what we're asking. And so if we're clear about what we want, or at least if we're generally clear about it, the elements of it that we're searching for, and maybe not the exact final product, but we want. So for a new apartment, you would say, I want something that has good internet, I want something that's clean, I want something that's in a safe neighborhood, and I want something where my landlord is a good person to deal with. And then of course you're going to have roommates, so you want your roommates to be energetically people that you can get along with. So we send all these elements out by our thoughts and our intentions, and then we start getting things coming back to us, opportunities, possibilities, and you could say this in the dating world, you could say this in the job world. As the universe starts trying to send you opportunities, it also gives us a chance to refine our search. In other words, you look at one apartment and you say, oh, I like these qualities and this is right, but I'm not loving the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Or I wish it was closer to transportation so that it would be easier for me when I need to go somewhere. So then that's then further defining to the universe more and more, and the picture becomes clearer and clearer. When we see the things that we don't want and we have new thoughts about our search, then the refinement of the search becomes, so the universe is doing that. Our higher self is working with us. All of our guides, our masters, source energy, they want to conspire to give us exactly what we're asking for. And when we as human beings, I think, become attached to a certain thing, or we say, okay, this isn't exactly what I want, but it's good. It's pretty good, and I'm going to feel better if I go ahead and I take this one, because I'm feeling a little antsy about it. It's getting time. I feel more comfortable if I just go ahead and settle for this. So the divine intervention comes in.
That sounds like my decision.
Yeah, I'm kind of rolling with yours because we've been talking about it so much.
Uh-huh.
But it's happened to me too. So the divine intervention comes in, and all of a sudden your would-be landlord calls you or texts you and says, "Sorry, it's actually, we can't go through with the transaction, and I'm going to void your check." No other explanation, just all. So then you sit there and go, "Huh? What did I do wrong, or is there something wrong with me, or did they, judge me in some way?" And as you and I talked, I don't think it has anything to do with you as a person or as a candidate. I think what that is the universe stepped in and said, we know that this isn't exactly what you're looking for, so we're going to make the deal fall through. And It happened to me with a car.
Ah,
This is a weird story, but I had said in my mind a couple years ago that I wanted a GMC, I think Acadia or something like that. I think it was a higher model, and I
okay.
had traveled
Oh,
to,
but still, a lot of ladies are not like kind of handicapped about cars. So
yeah,
GMC is a
it
brand
it
of the
does.
car.
It's a General Motors Corporation, and
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
yeah, it's an SUV, and I just wanted a bigger. I thought I wanted a bigger vehicle.
Oh, okay.
So I had been looking and looking, and I've been looking locally and going to see different ones. And then I traveled all the way out. So I saw this perfect one, and it was white, and it had the light leather interior just like I wanted. So all of these things that I've been sending out into the universe about the vehicle that I wanted seemed like it came to fruition. And I found the one. So we traveled the hour and 15-minute drive to go to this dealership. And Brent, my husband, went with me. And we're in the truck. We test drove the truck. It's great, the SUV, and I love this vehicle. And we're getting ready. I mean, we even brought our deposit with us, our approval paperwork from the bank, all the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to the salesman, because something was really bugging me, my last car, I couldn't sync the Bluetooth, my phone, with the car. Like
Mm-hmm.
something went wrong in the computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew for a fact that I wanted to make sure it would sync before I signed on the dotted line, right?
Mm-hmm.
This salesman, so we're trying to do it, right? He wants to go in and do paperwork, and I said, no, we have to do this first. So Brent and I are trying to sync our phones through Bluetooth to the computer,
Mm-hmm.
and it just wasn't working.
Mm-hmm.
We couldn't do it. I tried it, he tried it. So the salesman is really getting on my nerves because he's going, oh, it's easy. Oh, it's easy. Let's go do the paperwork and then I'll help you with it. And I said, no, you're not hearing me. I want to do this right now. And
Mm-hmm.
so finally, he was just getting on my last nerve because he goes, oh, it's easy. It's cake. I said, do me a favor. I said, say it one more time and I'm going to walk away from this vehicle because I don't like being called stupid. I don't think anybody does. So obviously I'm
Oh,
struggling.
that's why
And
he's calling you stupid by saying it's easy.
well, yeah, I mean,
You're
read between the lines. If I'm,
aggressive about it. You want to make a decision to pay, right?
that's what he wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't listening to me
Mm-hmm.
by saying, no, I'm going to do this first and make sure this is okay before I go do that. Because
Yeah,
he
that's
had us,
important checking.
we
That's
were sold
important.
on the vehicle. We checked the tires. I even went underneath it to look and to make sure there were no rust spots, the whole 9 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't he turn around and say, oh, it's easy? I turned the car off and I walked out. I handed the keys to my husband and I walked out the door. And the guy goes, what? My husband told me later, he goes, what did I do? Oh, go get her back. And Brent goes, she warned you, bud. And he turned around and gave him the keys and said, sorry, but this is not for us. Now, the reason I tell that story, it's a long story, but um, why was that irritating salesman put in my path? Why was um,
Wow.
I so irritated by that? Why was I so sure that I had to check? Well, if the Bluetooth wasn't working on the lot on a car that they're selling that had very low mileage, something was probably wrong with the computer.
Oh,
So
wow.
so
Okay.
I'm yeah, you see what I'm saying? I'm thinking that's divine intervention, and I ended up buying a really nice Toyota Avalon. It's white. It's got the leather. It's not the light leather interior, but I mean, it's been a
Okay,
great
that's
car.
SUV too.
And that opportunity came later on Black Friday. I think it was a Black Friday deal, and we got an
Uh,
amazing deal on this car, and it's
wow.
plenty big enough for us. And as a matter of fact, I've been grateful several times ever since we bought the Toyota that I didn't have this great big huge vehicle because parking it and we didn't need all that room. We didn't need that big SUV, and
Okay.
it's kind of a gas guzzler. So
What's more?
who knows? I mean, maybe I'm absolutely crazy, but I really think there was a divine intervention there because after all of the good intention that I put into this vehicle, all the research, the safety, the
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of things that I looked into and researched, and I was convinced that that vehicle was for me. And I looked at a number of them, and then I go out and I'm about to put down, buy this thing. I get this numbnut in the car with me who isn't listening to me as a salesman, which is your big problem. But why would all of that go down in that way? Do I just have really bad luck? I don't think so. I think that the universe knew that that vehicle was going to end up being too big for what we really need. It was not going to be quite the right fit for us, and so I think
Mhm.
it conspired to talk me out of it. And I
Yeah,
was so pissed.
that totally makes sense.
I mean, that guy really got my goat. When I've researched something and I really decide I'm going to buy it, I mean, it takes a lot to get me to walk away from it, because I
Hmm.
don't walk into those situations lightly. I usually do my homework. So,
Mhm,
what
mhm,
about you? Do you have any other examples where you think divine intervention happened for you?
mhm. Let me think.
I
Oh
will
yeah,
say this.
you know, like since I do relationship, I let you guys know about relationship part of divine intervention. I know couple of the times I talked on my episode, about this. I was in love with this guy so much. I thought he was my soulmate because I didn't know about twin flame thing back then. And then he was the one. And then as soon as we started talking about being serious, he was supposedly only being in, out of state for 3 days a week or something like something very like short term. And then after we spoke about, or he spoke about that, and then he came back to say, babe, I have to move for 2 years at least. And then can you wait for me? And then seriously, that happened, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then what happened was he met his soulmate and he got married after he moved to California,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was that was divine intervention because divine kind of prevented us to be together because he was supposed to be with her
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not supposed to be with him in more like a marriage way. He was just came into my life to put me into the right route.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not in the wrong timeline anymore because of him.
Mm-hmm.
And he did his job. And then he completed his contract with me to put me into the right path. So he has to go to his own path, right? That's what's happened. But I wasn't spiritual back then. But I started to kind of like getting myself familiar in law of attraction and manifestation and stuff like that. So I kind of thought when that happened, I was like, okay, this must be divine intervention. I didn't have like strong conviction about it, but I kind of knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't that pissed off when that happened. I was like, universe probably has some other idea. This isn't it.
I think nowadays, in current times, that because the vibration of the collective is getting higher,
Mm-hmm.
the frequency is being amplified, and the energies are coming into the earth to help us with our ascension. I think that these um, things that we're manifesting are coming along faster than it used to be.
Oh yeah,
I
100%.
feel that in just my day to day,
Mhm.
where I notice I have a thought about something in the morning, and then by afternoon, this thing's already manifested. So um, I'm noticing it, which means it's happening more and more,
Uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
think. And what that means for us is we have to be especially careful of what our thoughts are,
Oh,
and so that we're consciously manifesting, as opposed to allowing maybe our ego mind to take over and fear. And so trust, we wanted to talk about trust today, and I think it factors into this conversation because
Yeah.
if we're getting an intuition or an inkling, or maybe it's a really strong feeling that it's time to leave this job or look for another one, it's time to leave this relationship, it's time to move cross country, it's time to whatever it is, oh, I really need to fix up my house. We don't have always know, and it doesn't always make sense why we're being called to this decision. At least we have to look at it. But then if we're feeling that, yeah, that really feels right, when I think about making this change, whatever it is, it feels right for me. Trust comes in because we're being guided.
Yeah.
So even if we don't know exactly how it's going to work out, what exactly the picture is, it's like we were talking about with your apartment. You keep getting these opportunities to see different ones, and by your discernment and your just your thoughts about it, the universe will say, okay, not this one, let's send this one. So if it's a relationship, you're going to be meeting different people. If the first one that walks in the door isn't the candidate, trust that as you're more true to yourself and you're more listening to your internal guidance, and there are divine interventions. I mean, if we're really going down the wrong path, so
Yeah. They,
usually we're going to get derailed from what we're trying to do because that wasn't for you. Maybe you didn't even know it. But so trust in divine intervention, it's kind of like, to me, saying our higher self has us, has our back. That part of us that's in a different dimension, that's always been with us all of our lifetimes, that's always watching over us, knows what our plan for this life is, and will not let us stray too far from what we had intended to experience. It's not always what we think it is either.
yeah, because you see, like, I know 100% about divine intervention now because after my awakening. So, my business, like a branding business, we're supposed to be making like tons of money and thriving, and I'm supposed to be living like Singapore, that was a plan, but divine intervention happened to slam the old door because my path was do this, you know,
The healing work and helping people become empowered.
uh, the coaching work, people to be on, have a clarity and be confident about themselves. I
Mm-hmm.
don't see myself as a healer, even though I can do that, you know. So kind of like help them to awaken to be their authentic selves. So I'm really happy about what I do. And then that's what my team wanted me to push toward. So I was, that after you and I talked about this door slammed shut like so many times in previous episode, but when they do that, that's definitely a divine intervention, right? So when
Yeah.
that happens, like it's not a good idea to struggle yourself to keep on going toward the direction door was shut. I was smart enough after like awakening, especially I don't even try. Door is shut. That means that's not that direction.
Yeah, that's not your door. Yep. Well,
Especially when that was a career, I would have tried to stick to it. Like when that comes to relationship, I'm pretty much more of trusting the divine guidance more than career one because I'm more passionate about my career versus relationship. I'm sorry to say that, but my what you gonna call it, passion that I always thought, I wanted to do entertainment industry since I was a little girl. So that is my dream, and that was my embodiment, and that is everything about, what my dream and what I love. But when it comes to relationship, unless you meet the one, it's not like I didn't think about you since I was 3. You know what I mean? So it was easier for me to listen to divine intervention in the relationship versus my career. Now I get.
yeah. Well, and I think that begs a point to be made, which is, if we could go back and talk to our younger selves, um, I would say to myself, stop thinking there's one right path, because we take the path that we think is appealing to us at the time, or is that we like you said, you've always imagined yourself doing this thing, and so you start on that path, and you keep leveling up, or you keep trying to get deeper and more enmeshed in it, and then the divine intervention happens, which shut it down. And it's easy for people to go, oh, I'm a failure, or I should have never done that in retrospect. No, it's all experience adding to that we can then have thoughts about it and create new thoughts and say, I'm creating in another way. And when I say healing, I don't mean physical healing. I mean, healing can also be when you're empowering somebody to find their own path, and that's healing for them, because what it's done is it's helped them realize whatever's standing in their way from achieving whatever their goal is. So I call that healing as well. I don't mean like physical hands-on or Reiki or anything like that. I mean,
Oh, okay.
I feel like when I do quantum healing, um, no, I'm not physically healing another being, although the energy that I'm working with is very healing, helping them empower themselves to change their behaviors, whatever information comes in for them. But I would say to my other self, just keep trying, keep discerning more and more of what you like and what you didn't like. Well, about this practice that I did, like working with in social work and doing that work, I put a lot of years into that. I put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into that. And in the end, what I ended up finding out about myself is I would prefer to work with people that are trying to find their own personal power rather than the victim mentality. Now, that sounds like a judgment statement. It isn't. It's just a different stage of our progression in life. But for me as a practitioner, I had put in so many years doing it the other way and working with people as victims of something
Mhm.
rather than people that are saying, yeah, I had a tough road, but I know my what I'm really hoping for in my life is just right here. Now I need you, Sue, to use your skills to help me quiet my mind so I can get the rest of the information about how to empower myself, how to get there, where I'm going. That's very different, a very different vibrational energy than, okay, you're a victim. How do I help? How do I help solve your problems? Number one, I can't, because it's your problem. I can talk to you about it. I can listen to you, but I can't solve it for you. So it's a very different energy for me. I would say to my younger self, it's okay if you screw up. It's okay if something doesn't work out for you. What did you learn from it? And trust that we're always moving forward to our next station in life, our next station in our soul development. We don't have to go from not knowing, not being spiritually aware, to being totally awake. Very few people do that. Most of us go along a path, right? And it's from all those experiences of going the wrong way, if we have to label it, but or going in a direction that isn't quite right for us, that helps us understand our growth along the way and realize what we really do want.
That makes sense.
I don't know,
So
just my perspective.
what I tell my, audience or including to myself is it's very important to be aware, how you really feel. Because when you are in not quite the right path in soul level, you don't always feel 100% right about it. Like some part of you convince yourself this is the best you have right now. I'm just using as an example, right? Or if you do this, then that's gonna get you this this place. Like it's a bridge. A
Mm,
branding thing I was doing was a bridge to get next level I wanted to go to. So I wasn't too keen about it, but I was doing it the purpose for the bridge. And then, that made sense to me when divine intervention came. You know, I was thinking, because I already heard other people, means the people I saw, you know, some people who has other ability was saying, I'm supposed to do what I'm doing right now. And then I just brush it off because that wasn't what I envisioned me doing the rest of my life. But, you know, unless you do it, you don't really know if you really like it. You
Yeah.
know, now I, you know, started to do what I'm supposed to be doing, and I'm really happy. You know, I'm really happy. And then all opportunities come into my life too, because you're doing something you're supposed to be doing. The path is easy.
And it just feels right all along the way.
And you meet all right people, and then you're going to be all at the right time. You know, it's just universe conspire you to make you happy and make you abundant and then make you everything successful, that kind of way, you know.
Yeah, I'm really envious of my youngest son. He's graduating from college, high school this year. Well, there's a Freudian slip, and he we're going to move to Florida. We live in New York. We're going to move to Florida, my husband and I, and he's decided he's going to go with us. Now, in his junior year of high school, my husband and I started putting more pressure on him to start thinking about colleges because, you know, that's how we were indoctrinated when we grew up. It was you go to high school, then you go to college, and then you get a job, and then you have your 2.5 kids, you know,
Yeah,
yada, yada,
yeah,
you know the drill. And you
yeah.
become very wildly successful and super happy because that's how everybody's supposed to do it.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So with my son, um, he he just couldn't get it. He couldn't grasp any. He couldn't even decide, you know, what do I want to study? Now, for years, it was marine biology, and he's super bright. He's super bright, very good at math, all of that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Um, he wanted marine biology, and then he thought about engineering, and then he took all the advanced math, and he just wasn't having any fun. I mean, he could do it, but he didn't enjoy it.
Mhm.
And so then it was, I don't know what I want to do. And then we had to get to, my husband and I had to catch up to him spiritually and say, and that's okay. You know, we had to finish that sentence. He
Ah,
doesn't know what he wants to do, and that's okay.
that's a
Because,
very advanced word. That's okay. Instead
and
of
that's okay.
figure it out.
I don't have to know. I mean,
That's good.
you know, I'm 52 years old. I don't know what I'll be doing 10 years from now, and that's okay.
It's
Um,
very open, like, you
I
know,
think he's
open
going to
to
be
all
guided.
possibilities. Mm-hmm.
You know, and if his feeling and intuition is, I want to be in Florida, I don't like New York, I don't think there's as many opportunities for me in New York,
Mm-hmm.
then so be it. I mean,
Yeah.
he also happens to be a very good baseball player. The
Mm-hmm.
problem with last year, it affected sports and kids that are interested in going to college and playing sports because they didn't have a season. Junior year is typically the season where scouts come out and you get recruited, you know, in your senior year to play for this college or that college. Well, none of that happened. And so that is skewed everything for the way we think things should work.
Mm-hmm.
So does that mean he'll never play baseball and he'll never go to college or he'll never? I don't know. And on the other hand, not necessarily, because he could go to Florida and then something sparks his interest, something inspires him, his intuition kicks in and shows him something. So this
Yeah.
is the trust piece.
Mm-hmm.
This is where we have to say, we have a very intelligent young man who is undecided what he wants to do, but that doesn't mean he's going to be some jobless loser. Like our parents would say, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to be an unemployed loser? Are you going to find a rich spouse? How are you going to support yourself? We don't know. You know, those are old ways of thinking, but we know he's going to figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, just because you go to college doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You know, the time has changed. So, because especially I have met a lot of entrepreneurs, and then they make, you know, multi-millions, and it doesn't mean they graduated this famous college or famous university, yada yada yada. It
Hmm.
doesn't matter the degree, you know. you can
Yeah.
be successful without them. You just have to figure it out. What do you want to do for real? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we have to give ourselves the same space, the same latitude. It's, no matter what age we are, um, every day's a new day. There's always the possibility to start whatever it is we get called to do or are interested in or to play with. Um, and in the end, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, yet alone, 5, 10 years from now. So why put that kind of stress on
Yeah,
ourselves? We don't have to arrive at any particular day. So isn't it much more relaxing and enjoyable to say, I trust that there is a plan for me, that I'm responsible for it because I made it before I came here. And let's just see how things go. If I flow with this is the whole Zen thing. If I flow with the river instead of trying to swim upstream, um, I'm going to have a much more enjoyable experience. And really, life is not about what we accomplish at the end. We can't take it with us. Life is about the ride and the enjoyment of it, the day-to-day stuff, the small things, the little things. And so I think if we can just take a breath and calm down a little bit and be okay with the fact that we don't know always how it's going to turn out, but if we're still feeling that intuition that we need to move in some direction, something needs to shift, we need out of this relationship, we need out of this job or what, then we just kind of be open and saying, okay, I know that a change is coming. I don't know what it looks like, but I trust that when the time is right, the universe will let me know what my next step is. And then the opportunity is going to open up. You're going to get the just right apartment for you. I know it. I know it in my heart.
yeah, I know it
And
too. Especially the other apartment I was thinking for not gonna be available at the end of this month. That means my apartment gonna be show up in between from now to then. I know this because
yeah.
the divine intervention, like they're gonna communicate in such a unique way, right? So that's what my tip for the audience is. Everything is vibration. Okay, so it's very important while you're having easygoing mindset, put your vibration out there to communicate with the universe. Like what I'm doing is I did use my self hypnosis stuff to put new apartment happy, new apartment happy. So when I think about new apartment, I immediately have this overwhelming happy feeling, right? Then universe can check that vibration of happy, and then universe think about, okay, the apartment makes her happy. So that's what universe gonna bring me. So I'm just using it as an example.
Hmm.
So that's how you can communicate with the universe, even though we are not saying like just float the stream of life without any aim. How you can aim is to feel the emotion of the outcome
Yep.
and then see how universe gonna take you, and also be mindful of what you want to expose yourself to. Like, anything you watch, you hear that doesn't make you happy or feel comfortable or feel relaxed or feel good, I recommend not to watch it because it's kind of mess up the perfect creation skills, because
Hmm.
that vibration gonna be included there.
Or, like everybody's got that friend that wants to come up and go, oh, you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? You're not going to make any money. Or, um, Sue, why would you go to Florida? It's so freaking hot in the summertime. Like, I don't know that it's hot in the summertime. Good Lord. Ignore those people. Hit the mute button, right? I know they mean well, or maybe like they're just going by their own personal preferences and stuff like that. But don't take it in, because if you do that, then you're goofing up that beautiful feeling that Erica's talking about, which is that's how you're creating what you want, is like she said, getting in the feeling of it, imagining it. So for me, when I look at houses in Florida, and say I want an open floor plan, and I'm looking at this one particular house and I go, geez, I really like all these things about it, but it's not quite open enough. So I just turn that one off and I go to the next one, and then I see something that's a beautiful open floor plan and it has all these other things that I'm interested in. And then I get into the feeling of, like you said, oh, joy, wide open space, not feeling confined, and then I start imagining myself being there. Like, what would it be like to live there? That kind of stuff is what's creating your outcome.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we're the
So
creators, right? We're
yeah,
making it happen.
we are the creator in training. That's what the 4D world is like. Before we get 5D, we're training ourselves to be a responsible creators, conscious creators.
Conscious creators, yeah.
We can create ourselves responsibly and consciously, so we don't take everything into, because we don't want to, when we are making beautiful sculpture, we're not going to put like a weird object in there, or we are the thing that doesn't belong to the sculpture.
Yeah, and that's what we were doing when we were unconsciously creating. I mean, we've all been creating all our lives. We've always been the creator, but it's like now we're becoming aware of it. And so conscious creation is very different from unconscious creation. So, like in sessions, they'd have people say, well, what do you mean I created that? Why would I do that? Say they got this information from higher sources during hypnosis, and they're pissed about it. Like they've just been told, that they brought this to themselves into their own life. Why would I do that? Well, because you didn't know any better, because you were brought up and you had a series of thoughts and negative thoughts about yourself and you believed it, so you're unconsciously bringing that into your reality because you didn't know better. Okay, fine. And once we can take responsibility for our creationship and say, now I can change my thoughts and I can create more positively, well, that's empowering, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
definitely.
yeah.
So do you have
Trust, though.
any? Yeah, trusting is important. Like trust. So, a lot of stuff is happening and then people feel uncertainty. The thing how we can handle this uncertain time and uncertain feelings is to project how you want your future to be emotionally, so you can at least feel happy, free, that kind of way, and then see what universe and you can co-create together with. That's
Yeah.
my last tip. And how about you, Sue?
Yeah, just what you said, and the trust piece is trust that your higher self is always hearing you, always listening, and trying to provide you what you're asking for. So
Mm-hmm.
never going to let you fall too far. We may stumble, we may have falls, we may have gut punches, but we're never allowed to go. They would never allow us to be destroyed.
No.
And irreparably destroyed. So, I mean, that's, for me, that's what I mean when I say trust. Just know that as icky as things can get sometimes, or fearful or whatever, just there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Our higher self's got our back, and it's going to work out, and we can actively create our um, ultimate reality.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to the intuition. If there is a divine intervention, trust that that was for a very good reason. And what's next? Just go next. What's next?
Yeah, your brain isn't, used to reject the divine intervention, to put all logical reason to find out why you shouldn't be believing. When something is happening to prevent you for something, you are not meant to go to that route.
Mm-hmm.
No? That's
Yeah.
very important to trust that, because when something is meant to be, you know, anything in relationship or job or apartment, it will go very smoothly.
Yeah. You said that earlier, and I agree with you 100%. It feels like breathing. It's so flawless and seamless. That's how you know.
It feels
It's
right.
bringing your greatest joy. So it does feel that way.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so that's what we wanted to share with you guys today. And then please share, like, subscribe, and we see you guys in next Friday. Bye.
Bye.